Dude, his hands were in the water the whole time. He was just, and he still passed the test because nobody saw him. So
That's one thing that I value about military experience that I like telling people who are evaluating the military as an option is it's a great test bank and a great incubator. So you think you want to do something? Oh, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to invest tens of thousands of dollars to get this degree. And then all of a sudden you're like, ooh, this isn't what I expected. This isn't what I really wanted. And now here you are saddled with all this debt. On the flip side, you go into the military, you try it out, you give it a shot, and you're like, yeah, I enjoyed it. I learned a lot, but it's not me long term. Now you have a body of an experience that you can rely on, that you can use as a foundation, but you don't have all of that debt incurred from trying a degree and going down a path and realizing later, not quite what I want to do. So it's really neat that you experienced that and you went through it. It validates that whole thing. It's like, "Hey, I wanna try something new. I wanna go into real estate." So you talked about this a little bit. You talked about that mindset of diagnosing problems under fire. You've got multiple casualties, incomplete information, new people coming in, extreme stress. How does that triage thought process show up today in your new world when you're navigating a complex real estate deal and maybe multiple problems hit your desk at once?
you're able to manage it with ease, man, because of that experience. And the way I look at it, man, I see a lot of realtors. When I was in a real estate team, I saw folks panicking, right? Because it's like, hey, we got to close this deal now. We got to close. And in the end, it's like, dude, no one's shooting at us. There's a level of calm, and calm breeds calm, man. You're able to make good decisions when you remain calm. So when it comes to real estate is not high stakes, man. Yes, people are making one of the biggest purchases of their life, and I understand that. But it's a process. What I do is I create standard operating procedures for real estate, right? When I'm helping a client out, I know that this is very important to them, right? I figure out what their criteria is. What are you looking for? What type of property? Is it a single family? Is it a duplex? I try to figure out what their lifestyle is about. What do you like to do, right? How many are in the family? Is it a family of 5, family of 4? How many bedrooms? All of that. It comes with ease, and I'm able to manage it seamless because of what I've been through, and they see that, right? They see that level of confidence. They feel confident in my abilities too. And also, there's a level of urgency with me as well. Like, I wanna crush this for you. If you're motivated as I'm motivated for you, listen, I'm going to dedicate my time so that we can find you the perfect home, right? So I dedicate a full weekend, a full day with my clients. We go from house to house. It's all planned out. I make sure that it's not a sporadic map where we're going back and forth. We're all going in a nice little loop to see all these properties. Everything is smooth. We got a lunch break in between. And in the process, I'm getting to learn more about them. And in that, I'm able to assess their reaction when we're looking at properties. I'm able to see, like, okay, I can tell that they didn't really light up with this property, but they're lighting up on this other one. And then I'm able to change their criteria a bit, adjust it to the things that I'm starting to notice. And towards the end, man, we get full success, man. So I think really what being in the SEAL teams, being a combat medic, there's a level of calm, there's a level of confidence. And like I said, real estate is not high stakes, man. So there's no need to get crazy, right? When you see your client maybe losing it a little bit, or maybe they're getting a little bit of impatient because they're not finding the property, it's about providing that level of assurance that, like, hey, we're getting close. We're gonna find that property. And especially here in Northeast Florida, we've got plenty of inventory. So being able to do that for them, man, it just puts them at ease.
That's cool. So you're talking about, hey, real estate's not high stakes. Yeah, you've got your biggest purchase on the line. It's very stressful. It's one of the big major stressors in life is moving, buying a new home, all that kind of stuff. But you're helping manage those emotions, keeping them calm, showing them the lighter side of things. So, on that lighter side of things, you've got a lot of plaques up there behind you that I see, some paddles, probably some end of tour awards, things like that. Can you maybe pull into some of those things and maybe find a story, an anecdote, something in there that was kind of funny?
Yeah.
So, I talk about making the safety brief, which is a funny story, a prank, something like that from that inventory of, life experiences back there. What do you got there that can bring a little levity into the world?
So we've got that first phase photo right there. You see that one with that young man?
Yep.
So obviously that young man is struggling. He doesn't make it. But what that reminds me of is my experience in second phase when I had that look that that young man had, man. And it was during the tread. You remember the tread?
Oh, yeah.
So the
Uh,
tread, yep. So you're in second phase, which is the dive combat phase. And one of the tests that we have to do is called the tread, where you're treading water for 5 minutes and you're keeping your hands above the water. Your hands cannot get submerged in the water. If your hands get submerged, you fail the test. So I'm in there,
but
man. I've
there's
got
some
the,
little caveats there. You're not just treading by yourself. What else you got?
oh, you've got your weight belt as well. Yeah. You've got your weight belt. You've got the twin 80 oxygen tanks and you jump into the water, right? When I jumped into the water, I thought my straps were good to go, man. I jumped in, one of my straps came undone. So I was completely out of balance, out of whack, and I could feel one leg. I'm treading water, hands are above the water, but I can feel one side of my hip cramping up. And eventually, what I did, man, is I just put my hands in the water and I started treading water. And as soon as you do that, the instructors are on you like sharks, man. They start splashing water in your face and they're like, Peña, get your hands out of the water. So I get them up out the water, but I'm cramping up again, put my hands in the water, man. Dude, it got so chaotic that they start splashing a lot of water in my face. And I completely turn around, dude. I completely turn around because I can't breathe when you're throwing water in my mouth. And so then another instructor who should be observing the other student, he decides to get in on this, dude. So now I've got one instructor splashing water, making sure it gets on my face. The other instructor behind me, making sure I'm just getting splashed everywhere. And my buddy who was on the other side, he told me while all that was going on, dude, his hands were in the water the whole time. He was just, he was, and he still passed the test because nobody saw him. So, dude, so I created so much unwanted attention during that tread, man. And it got so bad, I grabbed onto the ledge, man. And it was a death grip, man. I mean, I could not, like, no one, I was just holding on super tight. The instructors were splashing water. This one instructor is pulling me by my face, dude. And another instructor's just elbowing my arms so I can let go. Eventually, what I do is I let go, but I grab onto that instructor, man. And I'm just like, we're going down together, dude. I finally finished the test. You know, they make me swim to the other side of the pool. I come back and dude, I'm completely hypoxic, man. I'm just smoked. And that happened on a Friday. And dude, I just remember the instructors just like clowning me and being like, what the hell happened to you? I told him, I was like, one of my straps got undone, cramped up. And he was like, dude. So, bro, Saturday, Sunday, all I did was the tread. And then Monday was the retest. When I got to Monday, the retest, all the instructors had their phones out, man. They were like, watch this guy, you know? Dude, luckily I passed it on Monday with ease. Everything was good. I
Awesome.
made sure my straps were secured, but it was one of the funniest stories that my classmates did. Every time they see me, they're like, remember the trend? Yeah,
That is awesome. That is
yeah.
awesome.
And you know what's interesting, man, is like, I got a chance to be a first phase instructor, man. And when you make it through buds, you go to the SEAL teams, and then you get the opportunity to become an instructor, bro, you forget how grueling buds was. You forget all the details. You forget the daily grind of waking up 3:30 in the morning just to get your room ready, prepping your gear. And I was humbled, man, to just be able to see that again, being able to experience it from the other side and watching these young, patriotic young men try and achieve what we've achieved, man. And nowadays, these guys are coming in stronger, faster, smarter. So it's incredible to see this young generation, man, trying to do what we've done.
That's awesome, and it really is encouraging to see. So, I got to spend a little bit of time as about 2 years as a 3rd phase instructor and put tons of people through, hundreds of this new generation, and then recently, I went back out to San Diego. I was rolling with Alex. He's really big into the combatives program, and one of the guys that I put through was rolling there. He rolled at the academy or something like that, did wrestling at the academy, and now he's, like, already done his troop commander, and
Yeah.
he's on his way out now. He's transitioning out of the Navy, but you're seeing these people that you put through, and now they've done their full career. They have, like, checked the box. They've done great things for the country, and it's really, really fulfilling experience.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I was gonna add to that, man. After I did my time as a first phase instructor, I got a chance to work with some of the guys I put through training, and it's awesome to see quality guys in the SEAL teams, man, with a good level of respect, right? Because in first phase, man, I was fair, but I was firm, right? Some used to call me the Grim Reaper. You know what I mean? Just, dude, if you weren't meeting the standard, you were gonna go away. You've got that attention, right? If you weren't meeting the standard. But for the most part, man, we had some quality guys go through training, and I got a chance to work with a few of them. And now the guy that's in my real estate team, he was in one of the buds classes that I was an instructor for. So it's always fascinating when working with these guys because they've seen that level of you as an instructor. And now they get to see the civilian side of you, right? Which is, you're an instructor, you're doing a job, but real world, like, hey, I want nothing but the best for you, man. Even as an instructor, unless you suck, then I'm going to be on you. So it's cool to see these guys transition, man.
That is really cool, especially to see them from and them to see you where you're at, where you're like, it's tough love. Like, hey, we're really hard on you because we want the best out of you, because we know you've got more in you. So translating that, it's a different level of, I don't know if I want to use the word intensity, but maybe you can kind of make this bridge between that level of professionalism that what's that difference? Because I know that there's like a little nuance. If you can't be Bud's instructor in the real estate room,
No.
but you can still be intense and passionate. So, what's that skill bridge, that communication parallels that we might be able to find between your SEAL career, your medic, your instructor, to what you're doing in those real estate brokerage offices?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. And I'm naturally an assertive person, man. That's always how I've been. So always be authentic to who you are, but also know your audience, know your people well, right? Because you don't want to come off as too intimidating or unapproachable. So I think modulating how you command the room, right? And one of the most important things, man, is just be humble wherever you go, man. Like I said, I had that level of confidence because I came from the SEAL teams. I did a lot of great things. But when I got to the real estate brokerage, I didn't know much about real estate. I knew the basics, right? So with that being said, that level of humility of asking, don't be afraid to ask questions, man. Don't be afraid to not know the answers either, right? And that to me has kind of helped me in my leadership experience. I don't have to be the guy with all the answers, right? I can leverage the resources around me. And that's what I do, man. I love to say this: collaborate without ego, right? Collaborating without ego. Everybody in the room, I want to hear your opinion. I want to hear what you have to say because you may have a better idea than I do, right? Just because I'm leading this team doesn't mean I'm going to come up with all the greatest ideas, man. So I think that's what's important, man.
You hit a lot of really good nails on the head. Being able to be a lifelong student, I think, is extremely important and extremely valuable, regardless of your background, whether you came from military, whether you came from, it doesn't matter. You are going to excel more in your industry if you, like you said, put that ego aside and say, hey, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm a human. I'm going to learn from my mistakes. Yes, I'm going to hopefully learn enough from others to not make mistakes. How you've been guiding people into, hey, this might be a better financial decision for you, right? But you're like, I understand that I'm learning and I'm growing. So I want to take the time to be the student, to learn again, to ask the questions and not let my past, my ego, whatever get in the way. Is like, oh, well, I was the best medic ever, blah, 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 blah. So then you're just kind of like barreling through. So, how do you practically flip that switch? What is it in you that helps you go from maybe the situation's high, maybe somebody's angry, something's going wrong, you're elevated, you're kind of a little tilted. How do you flip that switch and be like, all right, ego aside, stay calm, let me address this problem with focus and clarity?
This is something that I learned in Yemen. This is where this came kind of in play. When I deployed to Yemen, it was my last deployment. I was, dude, I was dual hatted. At this time, I had a different skill set. I was a level 3. I was certified in advanced special operations. And however, I was still new, man. And I was put in a position to lead Army guys, to lead Marines, to lead Navy intel personnel, and also to manage an entire partner force. And while I was doing that, there was a level of like, I want to say insecurity because I was still kind of new at the position that I was in. And while I was there doing my job, a new group of folks came in, an ODA team, Army ODA team came in, and they replaced the Marines. This ODA team there was about 5 of them. They had a combined level of experience of like 45 years, man, doing what I just learned to do, advanced special operations. And I remember conducting my meetings, and I remember folks kind of looking at me like, who is this guy, right? Who is this guy, the SEAL that in this leadership role, kind of telling us what to do? And this ODA team, I knew I had already researched their background. These guys were very knowledgeable, man. So I wanted everybody to know where I was, man. So what I did is I had an entire video conference with all of these guys, and I literally told them, I was like, hey, fellas, I just graduated from that course about 6 months ago. I'm in this position of leadership, but I'm not here to kind of tell you guys how to run your business when you have a lot more experience than I do. If anything, I'm all ears, man. What have you guys done that could help us be successful in this area of operation? Because the last guy that I relieved, he wasn't able to do absolutely nothing in that area of operation. I did not want to spend 6 months in Yemen doing nothing, dude. So I told these Green Berets, I just asked them, I was like, fellas, put it on the table, man. I'm not the most experienced guy here. Bro, I tell you what, man, when I did that, these guys had a level of respect and the collaboration was incredible because these guys were like, dude, I love that level of humility. And they were like, this is what we know. This is how we think we can operate here. This is how we think we can be successful in this area of operation. It opened up so many doors and I had the resources to be successful. So I told these guys, I was like, hey, whatever you guys need, you let me know. I've got the money, I've got the phones, whatever you need, you let me know and I will make sure you have it. And by doing that, man, by being humble, by letting people know, like, hey, I don't have all the answers, and by leveraging other people's skill set for the success of the mission, that sets you up, man. That helps you in your campaign towards a great deployment. So I take that and I apply it everywhere I go, right? If I'm the most knowledgeable, great. But if there's somebody in the room that knows more or is more experienced, we should all be picking his brain, his or her brain. And that's how I like to do it, man. That's why I say collaborate without ego. Bring everybody in the room. I want every voice heard. I don't want you to feel that you can't share in this meeting because you may have something valuable to say. Someone else probably needs to hear what you have to say. So that's kind of what I do to apply it, man. And it just requires how do you switch it? Be humble, man. Be humble, ask questions, know that you're not the smartest guy in the room, and it's okay because the goal is what's the mission? Let's get the mission done. Let's work as a team.
Spot on. Spot on. Take that ego, take it down, ask questions. Hey, what's the problem? How can we address it? So these are incredible takeaways. I love what you're sharing. So you've transitioned from military, you're doing the real estate thing. you have a very unique risk assessment point of view. You've seen super danger red flags, you've seen things overseas, and now you're in the home environment. You're in the domestic area. While oftentimes we're not going to be life threatening mistakes or problems, but they could be very costly if we miss some things. So, from your unique risk assessment point of view, what's the single biggest mistake you see people make when they're buying a new home?
This is one of the issues I see sometimes, and this happened with one of my clients, is they're in the process of purchasing a home. Now, when you purchase a home and you're getting qualified or approved for a loan, you don't wanna make any big purchases while you're doing that because it's going to screw up your debt to income ratio. And sometimes folks just want that nice shiny car, man, that brand new shiny little car, and they end up buying it and it ends up screwing with their debt to income ratio where they're no longer approved to purchase that home that they initially wanted. So I have to make sure that when I'm working with clients, I got to let them know, hey, while we're in this process, please do not make any large purchases, right? And I try to be very transparent with them, man, and let them know like every little expense that you're going to have while you're purchasing a home. You're going to pay title fees, right? Those are part of the closing costs. You're going to pay for a survey. You're going to pay the lender fees, right? You're going to pay for an appraisal. You're going to pay for an inspection. If there's a septic in the house, I don't want any surprises, man. So that requires me to know as much as I can about that property to better inform my clients so that there's no surprises. They're not like, yo, where's this? Why do I have to pay for this inspection? Well, it's a requirement. You want that home inspected, right? We want to know what's wrong with this house. And I've been in a situation where the house looks great. We do a home inspection, and there's a lot of major red flags in that home inspection, right? The roof is very old. The HVAC is old to the point where it needs to get replaced. The plumbing system may be old, right? Cast iron versus ABS piping. The electrical system may be old. Those four major components are extremely important when you're buying a home. And I've been in a situation where I was working with this young service member. The house was in a great location, but the house was in need of a lot of repairs and renovations, man. And I had to be transparent with them. And I told them, listen, this is what's it going to cost you. The roof is not good on this property. The HVAC is not good. The plumbing is not good. It's going to cost you between $30,000 to $40,000 just to get this property in standard good condition. And I was like, "Do you have 30 or $40,000? I know you love the location, man." So I told them, "Listen, we need to take this back to the negotiating table," right? So what I did, man, is I went back, negotiated with the listing agent, with the sellers, and I requested some closing cost assistance because of these types of issues. Now, it didn't go my way that time, my man. They were like, "We're not doing anything." The sellers were like, "We're not making any repairs." So I told my client, listen, the best thing we can do right now so that you're not financially burdened by this home is let's cancel the contract, let's pull out of this deal, and let's go find ourselves a better deal. And that's what we did, man. And he was super happy because we ended up finding an even better home. So sometimes you got to make those decisions, man. And sometimes you got to guide your clients the right way. It's about the mission, not the commission, right? So you want the best for your clients, even if that means extending your time with them to find them a better home, because some realtors don't care, man. They just want to close that deal, right? Obviously, I have a soft spot for my men and women in uniform. I want the best for them. I want to be the go to guy for the military. And that's kind of my goal while I'm out here in Northeast Florida is just guiding them towards that home ownership success, man. And I didn't want to share this because it reminded me of something. Because you go from being in the SEAL teams where everything's high stakes and then go to real estate, not so high stakes. But I did have a situation, man, where I was selling a home where the location was in a pretty rough, the home was in a rough location, man. And I put the property on the market. There was a lot of gang activity there. And I had a hard time selling this property, man. But I remember the first time the client who hired me to sell his property, he was like, hey, man, I need help selling it. Can you help me out? And I said, Yeah, absolutely, man. I don't care how large, how small the deal was. This was a house that needed complete renovation. But I went out there, man, and before I even got out there, I looked it up. I was like, all right, this is in a really rough neighborhood, man. So I immediately got my SIG, had my strap on me, and I was like, let's go. And then I went to the location, got to the property, and just for shits and giggles, just for fun, I cleared that whole house, man, just because I missed the SEAL teams. You know what I mean?
Right? That's awesome. That's awesome. So fun. So yeah, you're trained to notice all these details that other people would miss, right? You're in there doing an active clearance. You're like, "Hey, I'm gonna check this house out. I'm inspecting it for everything." When you walk into a property, what are some of the subtle red flags that you might be looking for that the average buyer would be oblivious to?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. Always asking for the age of the roof, looking at the age of the HVAC system as well. That's important, making sure the air conditioner is working, the heater, the central heater is working, asking about the electrical components, also the plumbing. If it's old plumbing, if it's an old home from the 1960s, 1950s, it might have some cast iron. That after a while weakens and breaks, man. And I had that problem in with the first property that I bought in San Diego. It was a 1960s property, cast iron. The first issue I had was plumbing. And I realized that the cast iron had completely broken and collapsed. And it was a complete problem, man. Also, no house is perfect, even when you buy a brand new construction. So I don't worry too much about the cosmetic stuff. It's pretty much those four main components that I look at. And those are kind of the first questions I'm asking, man, because those are costly. And when you're able to get those answers quickly, you're able to make an informed decision a lot faster as well, whether it's worth pursuing this property or not. Sometimes it could be worth pursuing. You just got to negotiate with the seller so that you can get the best deal for your client.
Nice. So you're saying there are 4 major pillars. You're looking at roof, plumbing, and what were some of those other?
HVAC
HVAC?
and electrical.
Electrical. Alright, good deal. Then you mentioned negotiation. So, what is your best piece of advice you can give someone who's preparing to enter a stressful negotiation in their own life? Maybe it is for a house, maybe it's for a car, a job, a promotion. What advice would you give somebody who's ready to enter one of those negotiation phases?
I would say, you know, remain calm. Calm under pressure is always good. You're able to make better decisions when you're calm. Don't get so emotional about something. And if you have to take 24 hours, let's say you're full of emotions, you're in that stressful environment. Sometimes it's like, hey, don't make a decision right now. Let yourself cool off, let yourself de stress a little bit, re engage tomorrow, collaborate with some of your family members, have a meeting with your family members, have a meeting with some of your colleagues to kind of figure out, all right, what's the best decision that I can make in this situation? So, in essence, don't go at it alone. You know what I'm saying? Don't go at it alone. Leverage the resources around you. Chat with people who have probably experienced a similar circumstance, a similar situation, so that you're not consumed by all this stress on your own, but you have assistance. And that's really kind of what I do. I try to take the stress out of the home buying process, man, because I've bought several homes. I've relocated 7 times while I was in the military. So when I get military clients and they're relocating from Seattle, Washington, from San Diego, California, and it's a family, I know what they're looking for. If it's a family with kids, they want to know where are the best schools, where are the best locations. They want to make sure they're in close proximity to that base that they're going to be stationed in. So it's important to dial in all that because they're stressed. They're stressed having to relocate, having to move. So you want to take the stress out of that process.
That's awesome. De-stressing things for people, helping them think clearly, helping them stay calm, cool, and collected. There's been so many great things we've talked about. One of the things you mentioned is looking for those wins, seeking those wins so that it's win, win, win. It's not just, hey, the seller's winning, not just the buyer's winning, but we're getting wins across the board. Everybody's winning. You've had a career of that. You're in your second career of that, but you also have a huge passion to help people. Obviously, from your medical role, that was a big part of your life, a big part of your career and your identity, but you haven't put that down either. You are still very leaning very far forward on helping the team, helping the brotherhood, doing things to take care of people, getting them plugged into resources, whether it's just fun events. do you mind telling us a little bit about what you're doing outside of real estate to help people in the community?
Oh, dude.